I'm so excited to take this call. I'm so excited to take this call, you guys. This is Tanjil, who currently uses she, her pronouns. She's one of our wonderful mods, and she says, I recently discovered I might be slightly envy. Hi, Tanjil. How are you?
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to hear from you.
You don't even understand. I'm so happy to hear from you.
Well, this is a really interesting thing that this came up so recently. Over the years, I've actually been trying to explore a lot about trans and how people feel and gender, and trying to imagine myself as having a really strong gender identity. And this has been going on for quite some time, and I really like to put myself in other people's shoes and try and really imagine what things might be like. And I have struggled. I have really struggled. And I recently had a lot of discussions about what it means to be a woman. Like, what is the meaning? How do you know that you're a woman? Anyway, after months and months of discussions about all sorts of different things and trying to imagine myself as something, I've come to the conclusion that I actually don't identify very strongly at all with my gender. If I were to wake up tomorrow as a man, I don't think it would bother me in the least. And I could even bring up examples during my childhood where I fantasized about being a stockman. I was very happy.
All right. Well, I had about a dozen more questions. We'll see if we can't work on getting Tanjil back on the line.
Yeah. Tanjil, come back. Oh, no.
Oh, I was so excited to hear her story.
Yeah, me too. Are you back?
Hello.
Hey.
Okay. Your audio just dropped out for a little bit. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so even through my childhood, and which was also confused because I'm asexual and didn't know. So all through my childhood, I had fantasies about being a stockman. You would call it a cowboy, I guess. And I really did imagine myself as a man. I didn't imagine myself doing it as a female. You know what I mean? I was a late developer, and when I got breasts and got my period, I was so upset. I was really disappointed. So I guess I can empathise with MB more than I ever really expected. It's really just never gelled in my head that I can indeed relate to the whole MB thing. Sometimes I'm really thick. Things take a long time to get through my head. So that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Just I don't understand a feeling of strong sense of gender.
Yeah, well, we can relate.
Yeah, that actually is one of the things that made me realize that I'm non-binary, was that I felt a disconnect from womanhood, from being a woman. And I was like, maybe I'm not a woman. Maybe I'm this other thing and stuff. And once I allowed myself to think through that, I realized that that was true for me and probably had been true for a very long time.
Well, yeah. I'd love to hear y'all's commentary on this, but part of maybe for the audience, like maybe the discrepancy or the distinction, at least in my mind, between gender fluidity and being non-binary is that maybe, I don't want to use the word apathy. Forgive me if that's on the wrong course, but I think of myself as being at least somewhat gender fluid because I do very deeply connect with some of these forms of gender expression, but not necessarily in a consistent way, and not necessarily in a polar way. And is that anything that would help somebody who's maybe struggling with figuring out their own adjectives and sort of working through these things might be able to glob onto the difference between being excited about expressing themselves as both genders or one gender than the other versus having maybe a disconnection or a disinterest in the whole conversation?
Yeah, I think I'm more on the disinterested side myself. I just really don't care.
I mean, the people that I know that are like that. I had this friend that I met when I was working at a restaurant, and the first day that they worked there, both me and my partner worked at the same restaurant, and we both separately, without having talked to each other, took this person aside and asked them their pronouns, because we both got the vibe really quickly of like, this person is non-binary for sure. We just took that person's head, like, hey, by the way, what are your pronouns? Just like between you and me. I don't want to out you from everybody, but like, you're not cis, right? Like, and they were like, I don't really know what my pronouns are. I was like, cool, I'll use they, them, because but I'll use she, her in front of other people, so I'm not outing you. And they were like, okay, cool. And we'd been friends for a long time after that. We're still friends, even though they've moved out of state now. But at some point I was like, so what is your like gender identity? Like, I know you're not cis, but we've never really like put a word on it. And they were just like, I don't know, agender maybe, because I don't really care. Like, I know that I don't relate to being a woman or a man, but I don't know if I relate to any gender. So that's the only experience I have with people who are gender apathetic. Maybe agender is a label that might work for you. I don't know. But that's just the experience that I've had.
Yeah, it might, because I'm just completely apathetic to the whole thing. It just doesn't bother me either way. But I must admit, I've had more than one partner accuse me of being more like a guy. I'm not, especially when it comes to remembering anniversary dates and stuff. Yeah, the romance thing, not good at it.
Cool. I don't know if that's even. Yeah, no, go ahead, Guyana.
I was gonna say, and that's totally a thing that's not tied down to gender. One of my I have best friends who are a lesbian couple, and they forget anniversaries and stuff like that all the time. So like, that's just a thing people do, I think.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Somebody in the chat said that they actually identify as gender apathetic, so not necessarily genderless, but just like, I don't have a strong connection to a gender, and that's my gender is not. My gender is like, eh. Yeah.
In interviewing people for my book and stuff, I found quite a few people who felt that way. Other people had very specific ideas of what their gender is. Like, I am a trans masc person who expresses with femininity and stuff like that. But then there were others who were just like, I asked them, describe your gender identity, and they just went, no. Nah, it doesn't. Nope.
Well, what's the distinction there between, just not having done the work, not being an introspective person, not having spent time looking into these things, versus being, one label or another? Or is that an answerable question at all? I mean, these are really squishy concepts, I think.
Yeah, and non-binary is still so new in our vocabulary. Like, the first instances of it are in 2013, and stuff being used to describe gender. So it's a thing that we're still forming and we're still deciding on. So to me right now, non-binary includes the nots as well as the ones who have a very specific idea. So
fair to say.
Yeah. See, I've actually done quite a bit of introspection on it. It's just that I don't have any strong feelings. I can't find any fucks to give.
Fair to say. Fair to say.
Searching for fucks, and there are none. No
there
fucks.
Are none. My field is empty of fucks. I just don't care.
Well, I can tell you, as a person who identifies as genderqueer, I give a lot of fucks about my gender. It's just that, like, I use really random adjectives for my gender. It's like kawaii. That's my gender. Like, cute. Cute. That's me. I'm cute. I don't know if it's masculine or feminine. Sometimes it's more or less in the masc or fem side, but it's always cute.
Yeah. But I must say, I think a lot about trans people, and it just kills me to think that you could feel so strongly and be in the wrong body. My heart just breaks for them. I wish I could empathise a little more. I don't need to physically empathise, but I can mentally empathise. But yeah,
Sure.
it's a hard thing, isn't it?
Well, I'll say it's not always sad. And that's something that I have been trying to sort of encourage in my own sort of activism, is like, let's not equate transness with a tragic existence. Let's granted,
point.
for a lot of people, it is a lot of dysphoria and a lot of shit to work through, but not for everybody. That is not, I don't want to equate tragedy and sadness and struggle with the trans experience.
Suffering isn't a requirement to be a member of the community.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think it's more what I mean is the external difficulties with other people and the responses, because a lot of us are born into bodies we don't particularly like. We wouldn't have chosen had we had. I would have been at least 3 inches taller.
Yeah. I would have been like 3 inches shorter. It's like, damn, I'm already short. Let me be like pocket sized at least. I'm going to be short.
Well, I don't know if we've got time, but if we do, I actually wouldn't mind talking about one other thing that I posted to the Facebook group. I don't know if you saw it, about an age disparity.
No, tell us the conversation. What's on your mind?
Okay. I joined...
Tanjil, well, I'm sorry. I guess I should just mention very quickly that you are the moderator, the creator, the admin. I don't know what the term would be.
One of the admins, I think.
Well, certainly one of the admins, among other titles, of the Secular Sexuality fan group, which I definitely want to encourage people to check out and to join in on this conversation. We'd love to see you there. There's been spirited debate all day today, actually, on topics of sapiosexuality and a number of other things.
Yeah.
I found out that one of my crushes from high school has an OnlyFans account, and I posted about that. So there's lots of great conversation to be had, and I'd encourage people to check it out.
We do. We have some really great conversations. But what happened was I jumped on an asexual dating site, and forgot all about it. It's based mainly in America, so I didn't really expect to get any response. Forgot all about it. Got a contact from someone here in Australia. I thought that they were contacting me for friendship only. They just wanted to connect over some shared interest, topical interest, philosophy, etc. So I didn't even look at their profile. I just said, sure, no worries. Didn't know who they were, nothing. So we were chatting, and he was a he, and he was fantastic. We were having a brilliant conversation. We really strongly connected. And then the conversation started seeming wrong to me. He started talking about meeting up, and it seemed a bit more romantic. And I said, I think I've misunderstood this conversation. I thought you were contacting me for friendship. Were you contacting me for more social and romantic? And he said, yes, social romantic. I thought, oh, okay, I'm not really up for that, but I thought, I really like you, so I'll go and check out your profile. I'm 52 years old. He's 24. I cannot. I had a visceral response. My daughter is 30. I cannot see a 24-year-old as anything but a responsibility, not an equal.
It's so funny. We were literally talking about this right before the show. That I had a new subscriber to my OnlyFans who was 20, and I saw his Facebook profile and saw that he graduated in 2019, and I was like, oh God, this is a fetus. and then I was like, wait a minute, I graduated in 2016. That's really not that far apart, but it's far enough that makes me go, oh, this is a child. Oh no, a child.
I know. And look, I don't know whether it's because I have, I'm a mum, and I just instantly feel maternal to younger people, because obviously my daughter's age group sort of ranges around there. And But it was visceral. I was like, I can't even talk to you anymore. I do, and everything's fine. We're friends. He's quite hurt and upset. But he is actually studying to be a clinical psychologist, and he wanted to analyse why I have these feelings and, why should it be a boundary? And I'm just like, no, this is a visceral thing. Don't even touch it.
Yeah, I don't know that you need to argue with your instincts there. I mean, I might encourage you to take a moment to like check in and see like, okay, what is the influence of culture? What is the influence of these different forces? Is there a good reason for me to feel this way? Because our bodies aren't necessarily the best indicators. Whenever I hear somebody say that like, well, if gay people are okay, then how come it makes me so sick to my stomach to watch them like it infuriates me because the metaphor I've used on the show before, just very briefly, is that I think we can all agree that if we wanted to assign a moral value to everything, like, we're on the good place or something, we would all come together and say that it's amazing that we can perform open heart surgery, that we can take people apart and put them back together in these fascinating, beautiful ways. That's a good thing. I would absolutely throw up and or pass out if I was in an operating theater watching an open heart surgery. So, our body's initial reaction may not be the best indicator, but I also don't need you to fight against that. If you're feeling like this isn't a good relationship for you, that's okay. You don't need to swim upstream against your own inclinations in that way.
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't doubt there's a lot of social influence, but there's also just that there's a maternal instinct thing that's definitely coming forward. I can feel that without any doubt. That's very clear. But there is a few other bits and pieces that I can't quite get my head around, and I just don't know whether it's something I need to explore to be truly skeptical or rational, or whether it's just okay. And look, to be honest, I'm leaning towards it's just okay not to even know why. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong in saying I don't want this huge age gap, mostly because I can't relate to any other part of his life. He still lives with his parents who are my age. Yeah.
That can be a real barrier. And, to some people, that is part of the appeal. And, so long as you are being careful and gentle with one another and everybody is consenting. And I do sincerely believe that a 24-year-old is more than capable of providing consent. I might just very quickly lob out to you and to the audience Dan Savage's campfire rule. The basic philosophy that if you leave somebody after a relationship better than you found them, that you have permission to play, that it's okay to involve yourself in these different types of dynamics. And there's really nothing wrong here about it. But that also doesn't mean it's for you. And that's fine. And that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I've tried to be very careful with him and very gentle, and he really is a wonderful person, but I think he does find a lot of difficulty finding partners of his age because he is so very intelligent. Unfortunately, there's a mismatch between life experience and the intellectual intelligence.
Sure. Yeah,
and I'm sure being ace doesn't help.
Yeah,
it doesn't. And he's into kink, so he's got it rough all the way around.
Yeah, that's a hard match.
Been through all of that. It is. It's a really hard match. He thought he hit the jackpot with me because I also enjoy kink and asexuality, but well. Things. So that's been my last few weeks. It's been a bit of a ride, actually.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, sounds like an absolute adventure. Well, fortunately, there are plenty of kangaroos in the outback, or what? Forget that joke. I didn't just say that. We're good.
There's plenty of koalas in the forest.
Something.
Well, thank you so much for taking my call, and nice to have met you, Diana.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Hey, thank you so much.
Well, hopefully we'll see lots of people in the Facebook group who can add to my dilemmas. I've posted
Yeah.
lots of dilemmas. So.
Yeah, we'll see you online. Thanks so much for
Yep.
calling.
Thanks, Tanjil. Oh,
That's great. Thanks, everyone.
bye.
Take care.